Hi, y'all all. Welcome, Moon Griffon Show. I'm back. For all you people excited I wasn't coming back. Anyway, great to be back. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. By the way, Brandon, Friday, I mean, you need to communicate with the equipment Friday at Hickson Autoplex, and then I'll be back, sometime after lunch. But we'll be on the road in conjunction with our good friends at Sindler Broadcasting, KSYL 970 AM. And, God, we've been hanging out with them guys for about 15, 16 years, too. So it's been a while, and I appreciate them. 844-766-6607, Hickson has hotline. By the way, Maddie, for you people that didn't know, Maddie did turn 20 on Sunday, yesterday. So
Congratulations.
She was all smiles.
Happy belated birthday, Maddie.
I'm telling you, she was all smiles all day because we had not one, not two, but three different parties. Saturday night, a girls' night, and then yesterday in Baton Rouge and Lafayette. So I mean, we were kind of all over the place, man. But it was all good, a lot of fun. And anyway, Maddie's 20. For people that can't hardly believe that, but it's hard for us to believe she's been hanging out with us for 20 years. So anyway, it was a blessing. It was a lot of fun. All right, a lot going on. I know 9:30, Rob Manus, 10 o'clock, John Kennedy. So we have an opportunity to have a couple of Senate people running for the United States Senate on. Jeff Sato has an interesting conversation, how Scott Angel's run for this is nothing more than a run for the governorship against Bill Edwards that he helped put in there. It's a shame that people will vote for that. I shake my head. Hey, look, folks, I'm not judge and jury over who to vote for. I voted for some real duds myself. When I see a lifetime politician that can't do anything else, I run. Because I know it's all about them. It's not about us. And I just shake my head. And we allow people to give us the Governor Edwards, who now appoints Charlie DeWitt as Public Service Commissioner for Clyde Holloway. As you know, Mr. Clyde Holloway passed away. And Charlie DeWitt's old guard, leftist, Democrat, deal cutter. I mean, you go on and on and on. Should be in that position. Brandon, they got a Public Service Commission will meet November 17th and probably in December. They're going to make on some tough votes, and whatever was going to swing our way is now going to swing against us.
So it's safe to say you're not happy with the pick?
No, not happy with the pick at all with Charlie DeWitt. He was the Speaker of the House under Mike Foster, and it was a horrible pick. Horrendous pick. But I'm not surprised, Bill Edwards. I mean, Taylor Townsend's picks him to help suit oil and gas companies. Another horrible pick. Another guy that ruined the state. He was as bad for the state as he's worse than DeWitt ever was. And I guarantee you, Charlie DeWitt's the polar opposite of Clyde Holloway in a lot of things. That's an interesting Public Service Commission race that's coming up, folks. It really is. And we better take a close and hard look at somebody that's going to fight for us in that race. Buddy Leach's daughter's in there. She's a leftist Democrat. Buddy Leach, that comes in a whole nother name. She's in there. I think Mike Francis is the front runner on that. Mike's more of a Clyde Holloway type guy. Rendo Olins seems to be a decent guy too. I think it's those three in the race, but Mike is going to be more of a Clyde Holloway, a guy that's going to fight. So people have to make a decision. But putting DeWitt in there now, Brandon, what they can do, there's a couple tough decisions they can go ahead and make now by ramming this through. I think they ought to just suspend the Public Service Commission's meeting until we elect somebody new. Have a December meeting after we elected the December person to make all the decisions. Make it about 2 weeks, a week before Christmas, and have the person that the people elected, no matter who they elected. I think that'd be that's not what they're going to do. They're going to ram it through and run it through. But DeWitt was a horrible pick. It's all this old leftists, all this old guard, Charlie Melanson. I mean, Edwards keeps putting all this old guard in. It's same old crap that helped get us in the position we're in. Here we go. Edwards keeps the old honor code guy. And that's what Angel and Jay Darden did to us. They stuck us and popped us and hit us. And they hurt us because Edwards will make a decision. He will make decisions that's not best for the state. First of all, tax. Boy, he ain't stopped yet. I was just reading about this task force they put together. And, of course, we all know there's a task force out there that is looking at the tax structure. You can book whatever they come back with. It's going to be higher taxes for all of us. You just go and write it down. They want an inventory tax, which we should have never had one anyway. But what other tax are they going to get to take its place? I know the local governments complain. I read, and I know Randy Roach from Lake Charles. Randy's a good Democrat. I know Randy. Randy's a nice guy and a smart guy. And Randy said, hey, how do we replace the revenue? So they're going to replace the revenue. They're not going to just get rid of the inventory tax and not replace the revenue. They're going to replace the revenue some kind of way, and the money's going to come between you and me and businesses and middle-class workers. I'm not fooled by the task force. Let me tell you one thing. Let me. If you had to guess, what's the one thing the task force, this so-called task force that Bel Air was put together, what is the one thing they're not talking about as they evaluate the state budget and its tax structure? What do you think is the one thing they're not talking about? There's only one thing they're not talking about. One thing. They're not talking about spending problems. They're not addressing spending problems. They're not looking at spending problems. They don't believe there is a spending problem. And the whole thing is a spending problem. So it doesn't matter how they tax us, folks. It's going to be an increased tax on everybody in the state of Louisiana, poor, middle class, rich alike, businesses. They're hammering all on the gas industry under Edwards. Thank you, Scott Angel and Jay Darden. Thank you for helping put him in there. They're not even talking about spending. And you can try it at home, folks. You can restructure how you get your money. But if you spend way more money than you got coming in, it's a problem. And that's our problem in the state of Louisiana. And this so-called task force with all these smart people, Randy Roach, and I'm sure Jay Darden and John Hilario's on it, and Jim Richardson, who's an economist out of LSU, and the Tulane economist, Stephen Sheffrin. Okay, they're talking about tax policy. All these smart people. I'm not denying they're not smart. I'm not saying they're not real. So I'm saying they're way smarter than a simple-minded man like myself. But here's what they're not talking about. They're not talking about spending. And as long as they don't talk about the spending problem in the state of Louisiana and too many employees and so on and on and on, then guess what? They're not going to fix it. I don't care how they come. You can get money, take it out of my right pocket or my left pocket. If you overspend, we have a problem. And they've overspent. They've overspent by billions of dollars, and they know it. They know it, but they're not going to address the real problem. If you don't deal with the real problem, you will not fix the situation. Now, I'm a simple-minded guy, and I know what the real problem is. They're not going to address it. Who would you cut? I'd start off in every department across the board. They could cut and still do a lot better job than what they're doing now. But you got to be willing to do it, and that's what they have no heart to do that. So let them come on with the task force. But I can promise you, at the end of the day, me and you are paying more taxes. Two things you can know. They're not addressing spending, and we're going to pay more money whenever they come up with this great new plan. And, yeah, they're going to end up letting the voters vote on it because they can fool the voters. Look at Hillary. Look at Obama. They've been fooling and lying to people so long it's not even funny. They're still fooling people. So they can fool the voters in believing they're getting something that they didn't. See, they fooled us on the Stelly bill. And then we realized that the Stelly bill was horrible. So then we got rid of it, only to watch them get ready to bring it back on steroids, because that's what they're going to do. I heard, Brandon, I didn't get to listen to Governor, I think, was he on last week?
I'm not sure.
I think he was, because a buddy of mine texted me and said, here's Edwards. The first call was somebody called, said, please bring back the Stelly plan. We want the Stelly plan.
Oh, you're talking about Ask the Governor.
Yeah,
I thought you were asking me locally.
No, I'm sorry.
No, his show was last week.
Yeah, and please bring back the Stelly plan. That was the best thing in the world. I'm going, huh? And my friend, oh, yeah. You think that was a setup question? I said, absolutely. I said, the Stelly bill, the only reason it was ripped out is because legislators heard about less take-home pay, Brandon. Less take-home pay. It's hurt my pocketbook. It's hurt my pocketbook. They went back and got rid of it. General didn't want to get rid of it either. But we got rid of it. And somebody to call in and say, yeah, we need to bring back the Stelly plan. What government agency do they work for, or what husband or wife is on the task force? And this is what we're dealing with. And we're dealing with this on an everyday basis. It's a shame. But the task force is not worth the paper it's going to be written on. Whatever they do, two things are going to happen. One thing's not going to happen. They're not going to address spending. So that means it makes the task force illegitimate in my book. And number two, they're coming back with higher taxes on you and me. Why? All in the name of preserving what's going on in the state of Louisiana and state government. That's it. It's not to help your family. It's not to help flood victims. It's not to help anybody with their jobs lost in the oil and gas industry. Everything is designed for state government to have plenty. It won't be enough. Give them a year or two. They'll be crying about something else didn't go right. Because when you have a spending problem, it's like having a drug problem. Okay? If you don't deal with the problem, if you have a drug problem, clipping your toenails is not going to help your drug problem. I could be wrong on that, but you can try it if you want to. We'll take a break. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. Yeah, folks, listen, I know these are nice people and quality people and smart people and all of it. I'm going to say it again. If the task force, by the way, Jay Darden and John Hilario's on the task force. What does that tell you? John, what can you get past? Jay Darden, tax increase. What can John get, Hilario get taxed? They talked to him, John said, well, here's what I can pass. And Jay, what do you think? Tax increase. Jay, you have anything else to say? Tax increase. What would Scott Argel say? Tax increase. Don't tell him I'm for it, too. That's what happened when John Bel Air was elected. Look, I'm being honest. I'm not being ugly. I'm not being ugly at all. I'm just being honest. It's fun to watch. It's funny to watch. It's sad to watch, really. But that's what I'm watching. I'm watching them shove a new tax down our throat. The other thing that I'm just going to say it again, there's not a whole lot I can do about it. Our roads are bad in this state. They're not bad because we didn't pay taxes. They're not bad because we didn't pay enough taxes to fix the roads. That's what people need to understand before they put you on a guilt trip when they come with this road tax, because they're coming. And I don't know if we can stop it because we got a lot of weak, and right did I say weak Republicans. And Republicans are being used by some of these big business people that will be prime time. And when they do pass the road tax, I want to get the names of all the companies that are going to be making money off this tax. I can name some right now before it even comes out. That's going to be for the road tax. The only thing I've got to say on that is, don't y'all think we ought to know what they spent our money on? On all the money we gave them to fix roads. And see, that's a legitimate question. That, by the way, with this road tax task force, they are not going to ask that question either. Well, don't you think, though, if I gave you money for something and you didn't do what I gave you the money for, why would I give you some more money? It's kind of ignorant, I guess, to ask a question like that. But I like to ask the question because I think it's an important question. It's simple. They ought to be able to show us where did we put the money? Where did the money go? Where did the money go to roads? And see, folks, most of the money's not going to roads because we get 11 cents on the dollar that's going to roads. 11 cents on the dollar. So let's give them $2 billion more and get 11% of that goes to roads. Where's the other 89% going? I need to know. Kennedy, Vitter, some of these people were putting this stuff out there. Don't y'all think we need to know? Where is the money going that we've given y'all to fix roads before we give you some more? I think that's a legitimate question. Will never be asked, except by me. And then number two, okay, so we're going to give you more money for what? Exactly what roads are you going to fix? What will the roads look like in 1 year, 5 years, and 10 years? If it's a 20-year deal, what will they look like? So we can take a look at where we will be in 5 years, and 10 years, and 20 years. Brandon, does that sound kind of a tough question? Don't sound tough to me. And then what happens in 5 years if you're not even close? And they won't be. Mark my word. Mark my word. Oh, the press is going to be all for this, the leftist press that we have in the state. And they'll go point to a couple roads that are being done. But what about the 25 or 35 or 50 other roads we never got to? You see, folks, what I'm asking is good questions, and they don't want to answer none of those. Just pass road tax. Pass the road tax. Here's what they're going to tell you next. Pass this road tax if you want to see jobs created in this state. They're temporary jobs. They're temporary jobs. Now, I expect Francis Thompson to vote against this, the fee. The fee should vote against this because he said in an article when they busted him down on all his money he was making on the lakes and his family members were making. He said in his area they'd rather have a lake than more than roads. He said that. The fee thinks we can build a lake everywhere. That's economic development, and that hadn't proven to be true either. So if we're not going to ask these questions, if we got elected officials who are not going to step up and be tough about this, road tax is coming too. Road tax on top of income tax or whatever other tax they want to increase, and we're supposed to prosper. And you sit back and watch the prospering going on when you have less money to take home to feed your family. How is that prospering a state that government grows and the private sector doesn't grow? It's kind of curious. The private sector gets our money and they're going to make everything roll. When did that start? What country could we go to see that? What state? And you can't. So these are two things, not one. These are two things that I want you folks to be aware of. Because it's going to come down your throat. You're going to look up, when did they pass this? Now, look, some of this stuff they might let you and me vote. But it'll be twisted and turned so bad, who do you believe? What is my reason to lie? None. I have none. What's their reason to lie? Be reelected. Make them look good. There's a way to do roads. I just think that's, I really don't believe if you give them $2, $3, $10 billion that they're going to spend it on roads. How do we get 12 or 13 billion in a hole if they've been spending money on roads? It's because they haven't been spending money on roads. All right, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Take a break and be right back. Hi, y'all all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Do reported links between Clinton. Clinton raised money for one of the FBI agent's wife. How you like that? Who just happened to be investigating her. No collusion there. All right. Jump gears. Colonel Rob Maness joins us, running for the United States Senate seat. Colonel Maness, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Moon. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. All right, what's going on now?
Well, hey, I just wanted to follow up with y'all, let you know that the bribery and threat crime that occurred in my hometown of Madisonville last week with me from another campaign, we filed a criminal complaint on that on Friday, and that'll be going through the legal process now.
You did file it then, so it's been filed.
Yeah, we filed the criminal complaint through the St. Tammany Sheriff's Department.
Okay, what was the complaint, Rob?
The complaint was that this president of a $4.2 billion pharmaceutical company came down from Shreveport, reached out to me and told me that if I didn't get out of the race and endorse John Fleming by Tuesday before the debate, that I would be done for the rest of my life in this state in politics. And then he offered me a bribe by telling me that he could get me a seat in another venue and another opportunity later on down the line. Now, this man has given $100,000 to Mr. Fleming's super PAC, presented himself to me as running the super PAC originally, and is also part of this group called the Louisiana Committee for Republican Majority that apparently he said has been reconstituted and they could help me get a seat. And I think they focus on the state legislature. Mm-hmm. So that happens to be a crime. That's a crime in the state to threat and bribe a candidate to either get in or get out of the race. So we did our duty and we filed the criminal complaint. Now the legal authorities will take it from there.
Rob, does anything come with this? The reason I ask is and just doing what I do for a living, I've heard people do that many, many times where people just go to somebody and say, hey, you really need to get out. We'll help you on the way. And some people have just moved out. Now, I'm not asking you to do that, but nothing to do with that. I'm just saying people have done that. My question is, if you filed it on Friday, will it have any effect on the race, and do they do something before the deal if there's any truth to what you're saying? And by the way, that's what a courtroom is for.
Well, that's what a courtroom is for. And we did have a witness. My campaign manager was there. He took a picture of the individual and heard what he said. So, it's a crime to do that in this state. You know what? It's real clear to us, Moon, that these guys, whether it's this guy or some other millionaire or something in this state, they really don't care who wins this seat. They just want to make sure it's not me that wins this seat because they know they can't control me. This guy's got hundreds of millions of dollars of government contracts, and there's a reason why he came down here Monday afternoon after the Fleming campaign issued their second fake push poll, trying to make sure that John Fleming looked like he was in the lead going into that debate, which was all false, by the way, and that indicates also a federal law breaking, and we'll see what the district attorney says when they get the criminal complaint.
What are your lawyers telling you that where can this go? I'm just curious. What are they telling you?
What do you mean?
I mean, what are they telling you? I mean, where does this thing go next? How long does it take? I mean, do you have
it goes to the district attorney's office next, the way I understand it. And the timeline, it varies, depends. It takes several days just to get the report completed and made public. But we have the tracking number for that. We've made it public too, so folks can check up on it.
Yeah, speaking of Rob Maness, Colonel Rob Maness, who is running for the United States Senate seat. Yeah, I've seen a lot of polls. Polls have been here, there, and yonder. And you hadn't done as well. If you look at the polls, what makes you think that that they don't matter this time? Has it all been push polls? Has it all been candidate polls? Because Rob, are you with him?
Yeah, I lost you for a second.
Oh no, I'm saying with all the polls, I've seen polls all over the place, and I know you said none of the polls are true, but it's been a variety of polls. And I was asking, why don't you think any of the polls are even close?
Well, since September the 1st, I don't believe any of the polls are even close. They're all either campaign polls or candidate polls, except for the Raycom poll that just came out a couple of days ago, the one they did for the second TV debate.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, Raycom's the media conglomerate that owns all the TV stations. They're aligned with the left-wing media that's trying to get Mr. Trump out. They want to put a guy like David Duke into the debate on television so they can hang him around Trump's neck like a dang albatross.
Well, I do believe I think you're correct on that. I think the Duke thing was put in. The press loves that. They love putting him in there. He's a nothing, a zero, a zilch. He's not going to get anything. But there's no doubt what the press wants to do with him, and that is to pop Duke.
Yeah.
But
as far as our numbers go or anybody else's numbers go, the last Raycom poll that was done on me on the same date before the 2014 election, we got 2.5 times the votes they said we would get on election day, and this time we expect to get 4 times the votes. We're up on. Last time we weren't even up on TV or radio or digital ad campaign. All we had was a grassroots operation, basically, and this time we have the grassroots operation plus that. We have a voter base that our internals are showing completely different than what these polls are showing. So, we think part of that's the effect of the Trump silent majority. There are a lot of Trump folks that I talk to that don't even want to say out loud that they're voting for him. I've been amazed at how many people I've talked to in public. When I ask them who they're voting for president, they kind of whisper to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure what's going on with that, but I'll tell you this. Assuming their poll is the same error that it was last time, and it had a 5% margin of error, that's huge for a political poll this close to an election. Then, and they were 9% off the last time, so they're going to be even greater off, and we're going to get more votes this time than we did last time. So we're confident that as we go in, we've got our early voting started, early voting operation, get out the vote operation started. And early voting starts tomorrow.
Yep. All
Maness supporters need to go vote early and recruit 10 people to go vote with you.
Yeah, by the way, I'm glad you brought that up. It does start tomorrow at your registered voters office for the most part. And I'm going to be one that votes early, so people have to know exactly what's going on. And, well, Rob, anybody want to get involved with your campaign, what do they need to do?
Well, first of all, they need to go vote for Rob Maness starting tomorrow. You can go to robmaness.com and sign up. Give us a shout on that, and we'll reach out and touch base with you. Follow us on Facebook at COLROBMANESS, and you'll see where we're at doing sign waving and those kind of things. And I'll tell you one more thing.
Yes, sir.
Some people are talking about not wanting to waste their vote in the Senate campaign. Well, these guys all know the reason they've kept me off the stage both times now is there's only one guy in this race that is willing to make change in Washington, D.C., and that's Rob Maness. So don't waste your vote. Really, don't waste your vote. If you go vote for anybody else besides the person that really wants to change anything in Washington, D.C., you are wasting your vote. So please go out and vote Rob Maness. It's Sweet 16 on the ballot, and we appreciate everybody's support.
All right, Colonel Rob Maness, anytime. Best of luck. God bless. We'll do it again another time.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Quick break. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Don't forget John Kennedy at 10:06. We'll take a break. Be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline if you'd like to be part of the Moon Griffon Show. It's your opportunity to be a voice. All right, let's go to phone lines. We go to Kaplan first. We go to Ray. Ray, how you doing, sir?
Moon, I'm doing good, but I hate to tell you this so bad it's going to break my heart.
All right, that's okay. I can handle it. I can handle it.
Bananas Foster is going to run second in the Senate race.
No, I don't doubt that at all. Really, I've been the one saying, even through the Republican candidates, that you're gonna have a Republican and a Democrat. You got to remember, Bananas Foster is supported by John Bell, Honor Code, Edwards. You can thank Scott Angel and Jay Dorton for that.
That's gonna bring him into the runoff. And Colonel Maness, as good as a guy he is, he's not in the race. I mean, I'm sorry, I hate to say that.
Well, I don't know. I'm going to wait to the election. I do know this, that Bananas probably will make the runoff, and then we got to pray hard that whoever he runs against don't get sick or die, because you don't want that man in the Senate. Look, he'll be from Louisiana. He'll be the first one from Louisiana bashing the oil and gas industry. You know, as we try to get back out of this.
Mr. One-Eyed Man-Made Global Warming.
Oh, look, I love that. Brandon, you got to copy that. He's the only one for man-made global warming. Look, that guy is I'm telling you, Bananas Foster is a perfect nickname for him. I'm just telling y'all, some of you people don't have a clue. You know, it's like we got a virus. We just all of a sudden got this. We're going to sign an agreement and it's going to be gone and nobody's going to have any words and you never flood again. What an idiot. I mean, what an idiot, Ray. Huh? What was that? Okay, we lost him. Anyway, total idiot. I mean, Bananas Foster, Banana Nuts Foster. Gee whiz. We had man-made go 500 people. Nobody's flooded in those areas. Well, we didn't ever build all those subdivisions. We didn't have all this drainage stuff running like we had at one time. Okay? And Foster Campbell, do you know somebody that was there 500 years ago? How many people lived in Louisiana 500 years ago in a subdivision with drainage and brick homes? I admit it's man-made, Foster. It's man-made. The houses were man-made. The designs were man-made for the flooding. That was all man-made. No argument here, Foster. But man-made global warming. We're going to stop hurricanes. We're going to stop rain from coming. You know, no more heat. No more coal. It's going to be perfect. And all you got to do is pay 50% of your taxes to Bananas Foster. Gee whiz, folks. Let's go to Miss Ann in Shreveport. How you doing, Ann? Miss Ann, are you with me? Miss Ann?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Thank you. You always shine the light of truth on everything.
Well,
I'm calling with a question for John Kennedy.
Okay.
A group in Shreveport called the Committee of 100 has been trying for over 20 years to get I-49 to come right through the city. These are businessmen who stand to gain, personally. I don't know how they were able to get $3 million, this is a fact, from unclaimed property.
Uh-huh.
And this was used to pay a group in Baton Rouge to do a study, hopefully to find their plan to be the correct one and then be able to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confused. I'm just a citizen. I don't know how they were able to get that money. I really do want an explanation. I've been asking a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
The men who I think secured it are Patrick Harrison, Ross Barrett, Robert Mills, and Senator Barrow Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
And Barrow Peacock is the senator in my district.
Oh, I know.
And I know. Where this 49 through the city is supposed to go.
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm calling to inquire. I know they're a community renewal group, which has been building and renewing the community for many, many years,
yes, ma'am.
is opposed. They have presented a plan, which is the boulevard around the city, much cheaper. It has, the approval of people who understand city planning to establish the inner city. And it would not be destroying a lot of private property. So this is my question. I personally don't think Mr. Kennedy is the conservative that he purports to be. I think he's done a good job where he was as treasurer. I really do believe that. But I just think there are some questions, and I don't think he's a conservative. Anyway, You're the one that always gets the answers for us. So I hope you can extract whatever we need to know.
So let me do this. Let me ask you a real question. Let me make sure if he was sitting there here right now, give me the direct question you want to ask him.
If he were there and I want to know from Kennedy?
Yeah. Well, if I'm Kennedy, ask the question without going around. You gave me kind of what happened.
Great.
What's the question?
I'll keep it simple.
Yeah.
How was a group in Shreveport and led by the names that I just gave you able to secure $3 million from unclaimed property to apply to a study for I-49, which this group of 100 want to come right through the city? I didn't know that money was available to do things, and I've asked. Nobody seems to know.
No,
that's what I want to know. Okay. How did they get it? Are they responsible to repay it?
Sure.
There's just questions about it that many of us who are interested in not having I-49 come through the city would like to know. As I say, Community Renewal is totally opposed, has come up with a better plan around the city. Okay. So that's essentially what I want to know.
All right. Let me do this, Ann. I'll do my darndest to get it in. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate the call. 844-766-6607. Cornelius from Alexandria. How you doing, Cornelius?
Hey, Moon, and that big Brad Brand, the handler, and happy belated birthday, Miss Maddie, because she deserves it.
All right,
but I wanted to say I'm glad Colonel Rob Maness, I'm supporting, of course, Colonel Rob Maness. I'm one of the few African-Americans that's supporting him and Trump. And he's a real war hero and stuff. I went to that Louisiana Tech Forum, and he should have been up there this time, too. But they don't want an outsider up there.
Well, I do believe David Duke was put in there to start crap. That's a worthless human being, and for him to even be in there is sad. But I do believe Duke was put in there for one reason, and I think he was correct on that. Duke shouldn't be in there. Duke is a joke, makes the whole state look horrible.
But like I said, we got to support Colonel Rob Maness. I hope Jay from Kaplan will support Colonel Rob Maness. He's the only out.
All right. Appreciate it, Cornelius. I don't know what happened. All right. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Dwayne in New Iberia. How you doing, Dwayne?
Oh, good morning, Moon. How are you today?
Doing fine, sir.
Good. I have a question for Treasurer Kennedy.
Yeah, he's not here right now, but go ahead.
Right, I know, but I know you're going to be asking him. I saw something recently. I was supporting him, still am as far as I know. But NRA, he hadn't returned a questionnaire for the NRA. Okay. And I want to know what his stance is on the Second Amendment. I mean, if he is not staunchly pro-Second Amendment as worded, that gives me qualms to send him there as a U.S. Senator, no matter what party he represents.
A good question. That's a good question for any of them. But I would think all the candidates, with the exception of Bananas Foster, would be pro-Second Amendment. I would think that, because let me tell you, when you represent our state, you know the state just like I do. There's certain things you're going to have to represent, and that's why we put mostly Republicans in there. Bill Edwards is an exception because of Scott Angel and Jay Dorn, turncoat Republicans. But the bottom line is, so I'd be curious on a national stage if any of them go again. Now, Bananas Foster would be the exception. I had a lawyer tell me, he called him to get money, and he said, well, he didn't call him Bananas. I wish he would have. He said, Mr. Foster, I can't support you because of your stance on the Second Amendment. He said, what do you mean? I got a couple shotguns and hunting dogs. That was his answer. And the guy says, okay, that's good. And he thought, that's what I mean. He doesn't represent the Second Amendment. He got a couple shotguns and hunting dogs. Whoopee! What does that got to do with Second Amendment?
No. Right. Well, I mean, without the Second Amendment, we don't have any amendments. That's the only one that protects the backbone of this country.
Without the second, they'll get the first, and then after that, it's over. But I got news for you. If Hillary wins, they come and get your guns, my boys, and they come and get it in a way you never dreamed of.
Stock up on what you can get right now in ammo, and they send the blue helmets in. I'm just going to look to try to take theirs, too.
Yeah. All right, brother. Appreciate the call. 844-766-6607. Well, we'll see. By the way, this was when I was gone. Obama said it wasn't him. I had nothing to do with health insurance premium hikes. He never takes the blame for anything. His plan was going to lower premiums, make it more affordable. You could keep your doctor. You could keep the hospital you want, all a lie. And the press never pops him. It's 100% on him and the Democrats that voted for this ridiculous stupidity plan. And so if you come and say, well, I never got insurance before, we should have fixed that a long time ago. Okay? But 9 million people having Obamacare that never could get it, and we're destroying the other 320 million people here's insurance plans. That's real bright, folks. This guy has nothing to do with anything because the press never tells us everything. The $10 trillion in debt, the flood of people coming from these other countries. I mean, he has nothing. He's done nothing wrong. It's a complete saint. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. Monday, the best day of the work week, no matter what Brandon says. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Brandon really likes this Friday's payday, folks. I'm just telling you right now. He will love it. You better get paid Thursday. You better see me Friday.
Ah, that's true.
But then you won't get no equipment.
I'll be here, man.
All right, folks. State Treasurer John Kennedy joins me. He, of course, is running for United States Senate seat. John, good morning.
Good morning, man.
John,
how you doing, man? How's Brandon? Don't be picking on Brandon on Monday.
Look, John, I'm going to do the same thing I've done with some callers with you. You're going to be cut off if you tell me to give him a pay raise.
Appreciate you having my back, though, sir.
God knows I'm sick of people calling asking them for a pay raise. Anyway, John, big question. Because somebody called in. There was a couple. And one of them was that they want to know if John was supported the NRA in the Second Amendment. They said something about you not filling out an NRA pamphlet, sending it back or whatever. And I don't know anything about it, but the guy told me to ask. I said, heck, I'll just ask him.
Oh, I did fill out the NRA questionnaire. In fact, I have the highest possible rating from the NRA. And I met with, when I was in D.C. about 6 months ago, I met with the NRA folks. I mean, I've supported the Second Amendment forever. I own handguns. I own shotguns. I hunt. I'm a member of the NRA. I'm a member of Ducks Unlimited. I'm a member of the Bayou Lutry Hunting Club. And I've got the highest possible rating with the NRA. I don't know how that started. I saw it on the Internet.
If it's on the Internet, it must be true, huh?
Yeah, really. In the last 2 weeks of a campaign, people they do it all in every week of a campaign, but it's really bad the last 2 weeks. People make stuff up. And it's just, it's not true. I faithfully support the Second Amendment, and I think most Americans do. I truly believe that. I think that if the Democrats get control, they're going to try to undermine the Second Amendment. I can tell you that.
No, there's no doubt about it.
I mean, if I could say one thing to President Obama and to Secretary Hillary Clinton about their ideas of gun control laws, criminals obey gun control laws like politicians keep promises. You do gun control laws, and all you're doing is just hurting law-abiding citizens, because criminals don't pay any attention to gun control laws.
That's why they call criminals.
Yeah, that's why they call criminals.
And they're not paying attention. The other quick question, John, and I'm not going to get into detail with you because I don't know. A young lady from Shreveport called and mentioned something about unclaimed money going to a study for an I-49 project bridge. They mentioned Barrel Peacock, and she just want to know, how does unclaimed money go to something like that? Does it go to something like that, or is that just not true?
No, nobody. We use the unclaimed property program as leverage. We leveraged it to support bonds for I-49 North and I-49 South. But the way we did it, nobody loses their unclaimed property. I've got $750 million in unclaimed property that belongs to the people of this state, and they can claim it today, next week, or 20 years from now. We've returned $400 million.
Okay, no, I was asked because the lady said, "How did the money get there?" And I said, "Ma'am, I can't answer the question." She said, "Well, can you ask Mr. Kennedy?" That I don't think that was fair that it got there. So I'm, once again, I don't have that in front of me.
So nobody loses their unclaimed property. I mean, I can explain it if you want to take the time, but
no, I just was curious.
I would never have agreed to anything that would jeopardize people's unclaimed property. In fact, every now and then somebody will introduce a bill in the legislature that says if you don't claim your money within a certain period of time, the state can keep it. And we've always been able to defeat those bills, for which I thank the legislature.
Yeah, because I knew there were people that would love to have taken the money, put it in the general fund or whatever, and y'all said no.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that money's safe. But people don't need to worry about that.
Okay. John, one of the big talks in the election, I'm talking about national, but you're running for a national seat, has been the refugees that we're just letting pour in here, the illegals that we're letting pour in here. And my question to you is, how do we stop this? Because I think this is one of the biggest problems we have in our type government and our way of life, living, is you got people not really coming to assimilate. Once you let enough people in here that don't want to assimilate, you're going to have major problems. I've seen people from Mexico burning the American flag as they hoist the Mexican flag up, and I'm going, whoa, that's not people that want to assimilate here. So I want to know what we do about this, and because I think it's a gigantic issue.
Moon, on illegal immigration, there has been a 15-year bipartisan effort out of Washington, D.C., both Republicans and Democrats, to refuse to enforce America's immigration laws. I mean, the laws are on the books. It's just that the people in Washington, D.C., that not just the President Obama, but also the Democrats and the big government Republicans just refuse to enforce the law. Now, every state or every country that I'm aware of has immigration laws, and America does less to enforce its immigration laws than any country in the world, certainly any developed country in the world. The fence that Mr. Trump talked about, some people have said, well, that's controversial. I don't see why. Congress passed the Secure Fence Act in 2006. It is on the books. It is a law that we're supposed to have a fence along the border between the United States and our neighbor Mexico, because that's where most of the illegal immigration comes from. The only reason the fence hasn't been built is because both the Republicans and the Democrats in Congress refused to fund it. And now they say, well, it's impossible to build. Well, let me tell you something. Saudi Arabia has already built an 1,100-mile border wall with Yemen. Saudis are building a border wall with Iraq. Israel built a 430-mile border wall with the West Bank. Hungary's built a border wall. Malaysia's built border walls. Ukraine has built border walls. There's nothing unusual or unreasonable about America building a border wall. In fact, the law is already on the books.
Yeah.
We've already built border walls. Let me tell you what I mean by that. Look along the interstate sometimes. You see those big old noise barrier walls? They're about 20 feet high and about 3 feet thick. We have already built 2,700 miles of noise barrier walls along interstates in America. Now, they're only about 2,000 miles along the border with Mexico. So, according to the priorities of Washington, D.C., noise is a higher priority than illegal immigration.
You're correct.
So this stuff that we can't build something that long, we've already done it.
But John,
it cost about $4 billion, not the $20 billion that they say the border wall with Mexico would cost.
Well, it's about priorities. It's not been a priority, and that's why it hasn't been done.
Priority. And about the Syrian refugees, the president wants to bring in 10,000 Syrian refugees. It is impossible to vet them. What are we going to do? Call the Syria Chamber of Commerce or the Syria Secretary of State? I mean, there's a war throughout the whole country. 9,999 of those refugees may be okay, but it only takes one. It only takes one terrorist.
Why would they want? I mean, I read about Soros. I read that if Hillary gets in, the refugee program is going to be extended from a big town. We're going to be important people that don't want to assimilate here by the millions. Why would anybody want to do that to your country and change your culture like that?
Moon, I have no idea, especially when border security has become national security.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why do we want to invite invaders into our country? No other country would do that.
No,
I don't even understand the debate.
Apparently, no other countries would do it because then everything's coming to us now. Like we're going to take care of everybody, which is ridiculous.
But the real problem we have with illegal immigration is the fact that the laws that we have on the books aren't being enforced. Look, we're a nation of immigrants, but we're also a nation of laws, and we have to enforce the laws regarding our border. Otherwise, we don't have a country. I mean, that's the definition of a country. It's a group of like-minded people that have a border, and it doesn't mean people from other countries can't come in. It's just that you control it. We don't control it.
Yeah, another big issue out there nobody's talking about. It's amazing if the press did their job on Obama, Hillary would be down 20 points. But nobody's talking about the debt we run up, John. We doubled it to $20 trillion. In one man's presidency, we doubled what was happening. Eventually, that's got to – I don't say eventually. I think it's already affected our economy. I've been told that once you get below 2% growth, 1%, it would be no percent. That's what's taking place right now, the printing of money. How's that going to come into effect if we don't stop this? Because I don't see us stopping this.
We have $20 trillion worth of debt. Now, what that means is that means that the United States Congress has spent $20 trillion more than they took in, and they filled the hole by borrowing the money. They didn't print it. They borrowed it. They issued Treasury bills and Treasury notes and Treasury securities. These are owned by people worldwide. Some Americans bought them. Japan owns a whole bunch of our treasuries. China owns a huge amount. We have to pay interest on those treasuries, and eventually we have to pay the principal. So it's not just fake money; it's real money. And at some point, I mean, China could put us to our knees tomorrow economically if they just got up in the morning and sold all their treasuries.
Wow. But don't you think it's pretty sad that we put our hands in the hands of a communist country?
Well, yes.
What intelligence is that?
The President Obama asked Congress to do this, but they did it willingly. And when you see congressmen, and both Republicans and Democrats have done it, especially the big government Republicans, when you hear them busting the debt limit, what that means is that Congress voted, we have a debt limit in America, voted to exceed the debt limit so they could continue to spend more than they take in and borrow money to fill the hole. Yeah. So this isn't just we owe the debt to ourselves. That's not true.
Yeah.
In fact, once interest rates rise, and they will be, just the interest that we have to pay every year from our budget, federal budget, is going to crowd out money for roads or defense or everything else.
Yeah.
The only reason we're able to get by with it now is because interest rates are so cheap.
Yep. All right, John Kennedy, we'll let you go. Thank you, sir. God bless.
You,
we wish you the best of luck.
See you later, Brandon. Keep your chin up, man.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
He don't know how blessed he is.
Oh.
All right, we take a break. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Your comments or questions are all welcome here on the Moon Griffon Show. We'll be right back.
I want to take issue with Secretary Kennedy.
All right.
On two.
No, he's not with us anymore, and I apologize for that. But you're welcome to state your case anyway.
Not a problem. I just listened. That's why I wanted to bring it up. I was watching a C-SPAN debate from 2004 when Secretary Kennedy was running as a Democrat. And in that debate, one, he said he was 100% against school vouchers. And two, the Gun Control Law Act that was in place at that time, Secretary Kennedy said he would have allowed that to expire. And the reason was because it was chocked full of exceptions and, quote, we should redo a bill where both sides can come to the fair middle ground. That sounds like compromise to me. I don't think there's middle ground when it comes to the liberals. Do you?
Not much.
No. And like I said,
not a liberal. But see, you got to remember, a liberal's mindset is we control everything about you except sex, drugs, and abortion. We want you to have all that you want to. You have all the sex and drugs, kill your babies, no problem. We're going to control how much money you make, how much you can flush your toilet because of man-made global warming. We're going to control guns. They're going to control your life. The people that vote for liberals don't understand that till they get there. Anyway, look, everybody has a beef for whatever candidate, and I appreciate you calling, man.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Let's move on. 844-766-6607. Samuel on the road. How you doing, Samuel?
I'm doing all right, Boone. Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Yes, sir.
Look, I heard something that I've never heard in my life. I called my aunt in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, and we were talking about her medicine. And I said, look here. I said, I said, it's your fault. She said, well, my medicine went up from $94 to $173. I said, she said, I don't know what's going on. I said, well, it's your president. And in Obamacare, she says, I said, and you voted for him, and you're going to vote for Hillary too. She said, wait a minute. I said, you're wrong. She said, I'm voting for Trump. Now, my aunt's been a Democrat all of her life. I'm black. I've been a Republican. I used to argue with my family, oh, my God, about politics.
Mm-hmm.
But I've noticed that a lot of my young people, I'm 68 myself, but a lot of my youngsters in the family, my nephews, they're not voting for Trump. A lot of my nieces are.
They're not voting for Trump? They're not voting for Trump, or they're not voting for Hillary?
I mean, correction. They're not voting for Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
My aunts are not voting for Hillary because of their health care. The medicines went up, and they're angry. So, and I'm also watching on Facebook that the younger blacks are putting things on against not voting for either or, and they're totally against Hillary because of the crimes bill.
Yeah. You know, I saw a young black man in a truck yesterday out of Baton Rouge, and he was driving. He cut right in front of me, so I kind of went around him. He had a Trump hat, Trump stickers on his vehicle and everything. And I kind of giggled. I said, boy, I hope he don't get in trouble depending on where it goes. But, look, there's no excitement for Hillary Clinton. That's why the press had to bring down Donald Trump and continue to. Number two is they've never put Obama's real record out there. His real record is total failure. And it's failure in health care. Sure. It's failure with Iran. It's a failure at the border. It's a failure at keeping the border safe. It's a failure in the economy. It's a failure with jobs. It is a complete failure. So anyway, people can vote what they want to, but if the press was putting out the record, he would have about a 22% approval number. But he doesn't because the press never writes about that kind of stuff. Anyway, got to go, Samuel. God bless. Thank you so much. We'll take a break. Be back. More of your calls. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Hey. Against somebody that went to Colonel Manus and he said try to make a deal. Just your comments on that. I don't know if your name's in the suit or not or nothing, but your name was mentioned.
Well, you know, Moon, this time of year, I mean, we're 2 weeks away from the election. You know how campaigns get crazy. People get desperate. And all I know about these claims is what I've read in the news. I've been working on my campaign.
Sure.
And there's more and more editorials coming out that says that, look, if you're polling below David Duke, you really ought to get out and throw your support to the one true conservative. And everybody agrees. That's me. We had a debate just the other night at Louisiana Tech, and I was able to clearly show that I've been a conservative all my life. I have the most conservative voting record among our delegation and those running in this race, Moon. And just as an example, this race really turns out to be down to three people: myself, John Kennedy, and Foster Campbell. And so you've got two who've been Democrats many years, and one who's been a Republican, a true conservative for all these years. As you know, John Kennedy was a big supporter of John Kerry, the liberal guy who ran for president in 2004 and still remains liberal. He also supported a gun ban. He was not even pro-life at all until later in his life when he decided to become a Republican when Louisiana did. So there's only one true conservative in this race, and it's important that we note that. I'm the only one in this race who's ever passed a gun bill into law. I'm the only one who's ever passed a pro-life bill, and I have a 100% voting record on life. And when it comes to fiscal issues, I voted against increasing the debt limit 5 times in Congress. Charles Boustany voted for a debt limit increase 5 times. And then, back to John Kennedy, even though he talks about all the extra spending in Washington, which I always vote against because I'm a conservative, he's allowed taxpayers to pay $400,000 a year of rent for his plush offices downtown in Baton Rouge instead of zero rent in the Capitol. That came out in an audit. And then you recall how he criticized Jindal for all of that very expensive artwork that he paid for with taxpayer money. He put $300,000 worth of that in his. So I think your callers who called in this morning are very correct. John Kerry doesn't represent an authentic conservative. He's a conservative when he needs to be, what we call an obligate conservative. When the state turns conservative, and that's the time to get the votes, John Kerry's going to be that. But the question is he really an Arlen Specter who will switch parties if the Senate flips to a Democrat? So I think there's a lot of questions about that. Everyone who knows me and knows my record knows I've always been a conservative, always been a Republican, and always support conservative causes.
All righty. John Fleming, best of luck to you, man.
Great. All right, Moon. Thank you so
care.
much. Take care.
844-766-6607. By the way, no consequences from the media peers for reporters caught colluding with Hillary. As you know, there's no press anymore. It's liberals all the time, which, by the way, is a propaganda machine that brought down Germany and all these other countries. That's what happens. Obama wants, he said this, I want where it's only 2 or 3 places you can go get the news, and that's the truth. And my question is that, Brandon, is if it's those 2 or 3 places, who controls that? That's how you got to find out is who controls that. And if Obama gets to control that, guess what you get to hear? That Obamacare is doing great when it's a disaster. That man-made global warming is real. Ask Bananas Foster. He said it's real. Didn't say how it was real, but he said it was real. That's where we're going in America. That's the left, and they know. Obama made a comment the other day, we got the Democrats right where we want them. Basically is what he said. We own them. And he does own certain voters that continue to vote for him as they continue to see. This is what's so sad. People that vote to the left, their lives are miserable. And the other thing is they're going to it's going to be worse because it's gotten worse under Obama. That's what people can't understand, how bad this president's been. And yet he wants to hand it to Hillary, who's going to make it worse by owning the Supreme Court. This is what's going to go on. And so what's going to happen in our lives, we already know. We already know how miserable they're going to make it for people who want to go out to be the best they can be. But it's going to be just as miserable or more miserable to the poor, to the uneducated, to the people who aren't working, the people that really believe government's going to give them something to make their life better. And it's not. It hadn't happened in any other country. It hadn't happened in any other country. None whatsoever. And so you got to remember this. If it hadn't happened in any other country, why would it happen here? As we let more people come over here who won't assimilate with us. It's a shame that you can't explain that to some people. They don't even want to hear it at all. They don't hear it at all. And the thing about it, if somebody voted for Hillary Clinton, don't even know why they voted for her. Somebody voted for Obama and still think Obama was a good president because he can run up $10 trillion worth of debt to keep the economy going. Jobs are going down. We created 15 million jobs. If you lost 25 million, you didn't create 15 million. If the jobs are minimum wage jobs, or the jobs are not in the right sectors, what do you mean you created something that was good? By the way, it's 3 polls on Drudge, all tied up. That's the poll that got it right last time. Trump +2 is Rasmussen, and Clinton +1 is the LA Times, which had Trump up for a while. So that's going on right now. It's, it is what it is. Podesta emails exposes dim playbook for rigging through oversamples. They're talking about polls. So, people got to go vote. Trust me, the Clintons are acting like they already won. But trust me, they are scared to death. They want to make sure they got everything covered. It's what's going on right now in our country. And the left doesn't understand. People keep voting for these people thinking things are going to get better, and it's not. If you look back 8 years in the inner cities and say, boy, things are a lot better now, you're pretty uneducated. You don't have a clue. If you think healthcare has gotten better, Obama had nothing to do with the health insurance premium hikes. Well, who did? Not me. See, they blame the insurance companies. Obama takes the blame for nothing, and he doesn't have to because the press never says, hey, you said you can keep your doctor. That was a lie. You said premiums will go down $2,500 a year. That's a lie. You said you can keep your deductibles in your hospital. That's a lie. All of it a lie. Same thing as man-made global warming. All a lie, but the press never challenges him. He would be in the 20 percentile. By the way, Colin Kaepernick, horrible again yesterday. They got slaughtered. And here's the magazine, NFL in decline. What they going to protest next time? God Bless America song?
You do know what the latest has been happening at NBA preseason games. People are getting up there and singing the national anthem, then taking a knee after they perform the national anthem.
Yeah. Brandon, I told you the NBA would be worse. I told you they couldn't wait for the NBA to start so they could protest. Won't be watching none of that, I can promise you. We'll be right back. How y'all are? Welcome, Moon Griffon Show. Welcome back. 844. What is it again? 766-6607. Oh, Brandon's going. Really?
I don't know how you keep those numbers straight. Not just that phone number, but all of them.
The problem was I was texting while I was coming back on.
Oh, well.
So don't text and drive, but you can text and talk. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Yes, it's amazing to watch what the press has done in here. I told you about the polls, dead heat, and all that. Will it be a shock on Election Day? Yeah, these elite media types say no. Concern grows over Soros-linked voting machines. By the way, Louisiana has Soros-linked voting machines. I don't know if y'all knew that or not. 16 states that have this, and we're one of them. Not saying that George Soros is trying to help this country. I mean, he's tied with Hillary and Obama, right? Such a pleasant person, loves this country. Just a downright atheist that hates the United States of America, hates Christians. By the way, NFL in decline again. They're not getting me back. They want to protest the dang God Bless America song next. And by the way, the NBA is going to be worse. I told you that earlier, Brandon. I've been reading. They can't wait for their games. And one lady, what did she have? A Black Lives Matter shirt?
Yeah, she
opened
on the
ground,
ground.
Power to the people, or power, whatever that power sign is.
She opened up her jacket at the end of the national anthem with Black Lives Matter and taking a knee. It's one thing to do that when you're a member like of a football team or a sports team. Then to actually go and sing the song. And
why
then
sing
do
it? Why don't you just get out there and say, I'm not singing it because I think we're a bunch of racist pigs, and I believe with Colin Kaepernick, one of the worst quarterbacks in NFL's history. Why didn't he do that? Mr. Afro himself. Let's go to Mike in Lafayette. Mike, how you doing?
Hey, listen, I listen to KPL pretty religiously, and I hear these incumbent commercials from Bustani and Fleming, and I want to puke. They've been in Congress, and they're running for different offices like they've never been to Washington. And especially cotton-picking Bustani, he's a cotton-picking liar. But he ran a commercial 4 years ago against Jeff Landry the last week of the election. And that commercial, I wish his opponents could get a hold of it running. It was Obama Bustani for, I don't know, 5 days at least. and he has done nothing, zero, to block Obama's agenda. And Fleming supposedly is going to impeach the IRS commissioner. Americans getting eaten by sharks, and he's going after Graham or Shiners. So, anyway, I just wondered if you remembered that commercial that he ran.
No, you know that I wouldn't. I was not living here at the time, and so I don't remember. I remember all I ever heard was, "Boy, that election was rough," but I never really heard any commercials. And if I did, I just don't remember because I was in and out.
Okay, well, they K-Bell ran it, and maybe they didn't get it when you were in Monroe. I forgot about that.
Yeah, for Congress, anyway, they wouldn't have ran up there.
Well, I'm just sick of incumbents, and I'd vote for anybody except these cotton-picking incumbents. Thanks, Boone.
All right, appreciate the call. You got people that they're never going to vote for incumbents. You know what I'm saying? And Brandon, incumbency has a stigma to it. So there are people that are just saying, I'm not doing it anymore. I've heard that not in this race, but I mean all over. So it's just interesting to see. Like I said, the Senate race is going to play out like it's supposed to. I still think it's one Republican, one Democrat. I still think because of the help of John Bell Edwards, who's Scott Angel's boy, and Jay Darden's boy that helped knife Vitter so we can raise all these taxes on people. Matter of fact, I tell you, Gus Rance ran a spot, really did a good job of exposing Scott Angel for who he is. And, yes, he voted to raise our taxes. Him putting Edwards there, we raising taxes. Wait, you didn't see nothing yet. Wait till next year. But he's running for Congress, and there'll be people that, once again, will be blindly voting for somebody because he made a good speech one day at the Cajun Dome and talked about the Boudreaux and the Thibodeaux and the gee. And I look back at that, I just laugh. I go, wow, that's what we vote for now. Anyway, let's go to Mark in Washington Parish. How you doing, Mark?
There's Mac.
Mac, I mean, my fault. He had it Mac up there. That's my bad. Hey, the screen is on my left, and I don't do good with things on my left.
Yeah, just go get you some new glasses, Moon. You know you get old.
Oh, no, I agree with that, but it's my left. I have problems on the left, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, look, I gotta agree with what your previous caller just said. It's time to consider anybody but these incumbents we got in there. And I'm gonna tell you, when a man's got a job, he's got a record, he's a congressman, but now he wants to run for Senate. Well, that's fine. This is America. Do what you want to do. But why don't you just stay where you're at? Keep doing a good job, and let's get some fresh blood in there. We had a chance to do this when Dr.
Cassidy.
You know what I'm talking about.
Cassidy.
Yeah, Cassidy ran. Well, Rob Maness was a viable candidate. Right now, they don't want to give the man an opportunity to get himself out there.
Well, I really believe now when I look at the debate that they'd rather have Duke in there because David Duke is not going anywhere. He's a loser, but they can talk about Duke and the Republican Party and Trump. It's not going to affect the Senate race at all, but they can use it nationally and things. And the press loves having Duke up there. They want him to say something racial. They love it, man. They made him in this campaign started. If he didn't get in this debate, he's dead meat anyway. But he was so dead meat, but yet they revived him again right at the right time. And it's really just to start crap.
If we want to be distracted by non-candidates like David Duke, that's part of the problem. We've got to take a look at real potential candidates and quit letting the incumbents run the show. They won't let the little guy come in and play. They want to downplay and marginalize and talk about how he doesn't have a chance. That's because they want to keep what they've got. We got to get past that. That's what part of the problem we have now. We got to get some fresh blood in here, and let's look at some guys that are intelligent and articulate and have served their country in whatever capacity, whether it's military, law enforcement, or whatever. There's a lot of similarities in those two career fields, I can tell you, because I've done them both.
Yeah.
And when you get guys with their feet on the ground, they know the pulse of what's happening in this country. Let's send some real conservatives to Washington and quit swapping party names and job affiliations. Let's get some fresh blood in Washington.
Yeah. All right, brother.
Just quit letting. Thank you, Moon.
Thank you, Mac. Appreciate the call, man. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Yeah, but the Duke thing, Brandon, the more I think about it, that's all by the press. That's all. I don't know how they did it. Who's doing this debate, by the way?
Raycom Media is the poll that came out with it. They're putting on the debate at Dillard University.
Okay, is this debate on TV?
That I'm not sure. I think so, but I'm not completely sure.
Yeah, that would be they wanted him there. I got a feeling it's on TV. If it wasn't on TV, he wouldn't be in it. I got a feeling it's got to be on TV. It's got to be a statewide debate.
Came across something very interesting going back to the presidential race. At least one new poll has Clinton and Trump in a tie. The Investors Business Daily Technometrica Market Intelligence Tracking Poll. That's a mouthful. But they have Clinton and Trump deadlocked at 41%. Here's something interesting about it. In 2008, it got President Obama's victory margin right down to the decimal point.
Interesting. Once again, though, it's the national. I still think the polls state by state are the most important. Louisiana, let's see. Tomorrow, it starts early voting, folks. Just letting you know, right here in Louisiana, Tuesday, October 25th, which is tomorrow. It gets underway. So if you want to vote, and by the way, the registrar's office, I think for the most part, you can go vote. Brandon, some of these other places, like New Orleans, has several places you can go vote. But I'm just saying, depending on where you live at, you can go vote starting tomorrow. All right, let's go to Robert in Jonesville. How you doing, Robert?
All right, how you doing?
Doing fine, sir.
Yeah, I was just talking about when they letting the illegal immigrants in.
Yes, sir.
Why they let them come in and bring their religion in? Why can't they come in without religion? Leave elsewhere. Said it's not working where they at.
Well, hey, you make a good point, but I think what you have to come in, the way to put it is, why can't they come in with our culture and assimilate to our culture? And that's what you mean. You mean our culture. But it's not only not working where they're at, there are other places they can go. Then they choosing to come here because the president wants them to come here. He's allowing it to happen. He's the one bringing them in.
I don't like this, but
well, I mean, the president's doing it. I mean, he's the one allowing this.
Oh well.
All right.
I guess. Thank you.
All right. By the way, Brandon, Colin Kaepernick wore a Black Panther Party T-shirt to the post-game press conference. This guy is trouble. He's bad. Tim Tebow is 10 times better than man. 5 times better quarterback. Bad news is we ain't got no more time to talk about that. So we're going to get out of here. God bless. Hope you have an awesome Monday.